Is it a Brexit deal or no deal? This is the question. Now, it seems to me that even 2 years ago, if we'd given notice that we're going to leave on WTO rules in March 2019, we would have had 2 years to prepare. It's obvious that the EU would never be able to negotiate a deal because they don't want the EU to break down, which is understandable. So they're not going to give us a good deal. And they certainly don't seem to want to stop the free movement of people, which if they even adjusted on that so that perhaps every country, every nation of the EU could put a halt to immigration if they so felt that was what they wanted, then that would be a progress, and we might have even been able to have stayed in the EU in that situation, maybe. So we wouldn't be asking for anything special. It would be available to all EU nations. So, because the issue here is that the Remain people who voted to remain, and don't forget that we had a majority vote to Brexit. So it is not the Brexit MPs that are extremist or killing democracy, but the Remain MPs, because the Brexiteers, the MPs, are actually trying to fulfil the majority vote, which is what democracy I thought was about. But we have the two sides, really. We've got the main issue for the Brexiteers, which is the immigration, I believe, and the main issue for the Remainers is the economic situation, and that jobs and the economics of the nation will trump everything. We have a housing crisis, which I think mostly is due to the 4 million EU citizens that we have here now, which will in 2020 will be 8 to 9 million. And every 10 years since 1990, the immigration numbers have doubled. And that by 2060, if that continues, that 30-year trend continues, we will be 190 million total population. We're 63 million at the moment. So, as I say, we're 8 to 9 million in 2020. That will double to 16 million immigration. Around 32 million in 2040, and so on until you get to 190 million, coupled with the 63 million that we are at the moment. So we have many EU citizens arrive, and they either sleep rough or come with large families, and then they jump the queue and get a council home, or they may be working, and then they add demand to the very few first-time buyer homes that we have available here, which puts pressure on for our own people. And it's not a case that it's a disgrace to Britain. It's a case that it's impossible. It's impossible to sustain and accommodate and house a constant flow of free movement and people like this. Don't forget that if we stay in the EU, that free movement continues, and that doubling trend will continue of the population, the immigration population, on top of the other immigration that we have from other nations of the world. And also the issue with the economy, which the Remainers are most concerned with, they say that is the key issue, is that the priority for the jobs and the economy trumps everything. But the thing is, Brexit is more than about the business issues, and I believe that only 10% of trade is with the EU. And it's really, at the end of the day, it's about whether we have a land to call our own. We stay in the EU or have a very weak deal, because with the welfare state, the NHS and the schools can hardly bear the burden of demand that is continuing, that is already wrecking us. And since 1990, as I say, immigration has doubled every 10 years. So that's a 30-year trend. So, and no Remainer ever speaks about the immigration. They just constantly go on about the economics and the jobs. But the thing is, as some have said as well, that, and I've thought also, is that we are told that we need workers in order to, because we've got an elderly population, but eventually those workers and people that immigrate here will become elderly as well. So then we'll have to immigrate. Do we then have more immigration for those? You know, it's a never ending. And England is the most densely populated after Japan. So, and plus, if we have so many immigration and so many population here, Britain won't be Britain anymore.